Taxes are a vital component of any country's economic well-being. But the lack of integration and interfaces of the various systems in Ghana has been a major challenge in the public sector. In December 2009, the three tax revenue agencies in Ghana, Customs, Excise and Preventive Service (CEPS), Internal Revenue Service (IRS), Value Added Tax Service (VAT), and the Revenue Agency's Governing Board (RAGB) Secretariat were merged to form the Ghana Revenue Authority, which took over the administration of taxes and customs duties in the country. Component 3 of the e-government project, supported by the World Bank and other donor partners, aims at establishing the Ghana e-government system G-Gov to help the GRA and the Registrar-General's Department improve tax collection and fast-track business registration. Today on Joy News Exclusive, we're taking you to the Ghana Revenue Authority and Registrar-General's Department to get some answers.
There was an integrated system for the large taxpayer's office, but the new system we have is going to be a comprehensive integrated system. It also integrates with a number of other institutions. Our Customs Division, it integrates with the Controller and Accountant General's GIFMIS project, where all our revenues will be reported real time when everything is functioning fully.
So is that what you mean by comprehensive? I mean, because I hear you mentioning GIFMIS, mentioning other...
There'll be our Registrar-General's Department. For the TIN registration, we're also linking to the National Identification Authority, the DVLA, Driver's License, Driver Vehicle License Authority, and also the Electoral Commission for the IDs that they use in registering for the TIN. When it comes to the system itself, now we'll be able to see, once we register the taxpayers, we'll be able to have a single view of the taxpayer from when they make their imports, clearing goods from the port, they use the same TIN. When they are doing their tax business with us, in terms of the domestic tax area, they're using the same TIN. So we have a single view of the taxpayer across the whole enterprise. Hitherto, you saw them as single pieces. Customs saw them differently, VAT saw them differently, IRS saw them differently. And we have an integrated view. The new software also has afforded us to look at our business processes, those that we were using previously, and we've redesigned them. And so when the system comes in place and the staff are well trained and developed, the way in which we do business will be easier. What's going to be different is going to make it easier for our staff. Basically, they'll now be in the new age of using computers and doing their job. So information can be retrieved quickly. It will let us serve our customers better. Part of the e-Gov project also is looking at doing business electronically. So you could, in the comfort of your home, file your taxes. That process requires you to register for using that service. So you could file your taxes online, you could pay your taxes online, you could actually see your account, just like if you're doing e-banking. You could go in and see your statement. So taxpayers will be able to do that. Again, they could send requests online. For example, if you wanted a tax clearance certificate, or you want to do an application for a refund, or also applications for exemptions. So all that is in the package. So it's going to, instead of somebody traveling all the way from, say, Tema to Accra to file their returns or file or pay for taxes, they can easily sit in the comfort of their office and do that. And I think when you give people other options, it makes it easy for them to comply with the business they are engaged in. Another thing that helps us also is once transactions are done, for example, when your TIN is done and it's issued, if you give us your cell number and that's the way in which you want to contact us, or it's by email, the system sends you a text message that says this has been done.
How beneficial is this integration system?
Now what happens is that we're now integrated rather than looking at them separately. And the Registrar-General was added to it basically because a business has to register first before it pays taxes. The good thing about this collaboration is if you do your registration at RGD, their system, which is called the Ghana e-registration, G-Reg for short, then communicates with TRIPS, which is the Total Revenue Integrated Processing System. And seamlessly, the new taxpayer, which is a corporate taxpayer, is issued a TIN. The requirement now is that before you even register your business, the people behind the business, which are of interest to us, that's the directors, shareholders, etc., because they pay taxes or taxes are withheld from them, they have to get a TIN before they start the business registration. The good thing about that is before this project, you could go and register at Registrar-Generals and nobody will ask you for any ID until you really didn't know who was behind companies. This process helps to give assurance to people who want to do business with other companies in Ghana that these individuals behind the company are well identified and that they are not just names that have been created into the system.
There are also concerns that these processes, although they have good intention,
yes,
they are meant to speed up processes of the things you need to get in order to start a business or continue running a business. Are these not rather slowing down things?
Actually, the TIN is a one-time, one-off. You get it, just like a social security, you get it once. So at the start of the project, definitely if you haven't gotten a TIN and you want to start a business, then you have to do that. So what happened at the beginning was there were a lot of people who had not gotten any TIN. And so there was a need to handle that mass that was coming in. But now if you go to the Registrar-General department, you can get your TIN in a shorter time period than the time we started. We actually started the registration in December of 2011. And it's a whole lot easier now. And once you have that TIN, you can register as many businesses as you want. So you don't have to do the TIN all over again. It's just a one-time registration, and then you use it for all transactions. We have a number of pilot sites, 11 to start out with. We have actually an office situated at the Registrar-General's department to make it easy for those who are registering business to actually engage in it. When it comes to the registration modules, they are available at all the 9 pilot sites. There are 13 modules in the application, the tax application. We are rolling out in 2 offices. That's the Spintex Medium Taxpayer Office and the Large Taxpayer Office. The Large Taxpayer Office brings in close to about 65% or so of our revenue. So as we roll out, we work and see how things are working within that environment. And we are tweaking and making sure that what has been delivered is working and people understand the processes. Once we've sorted all that out, then we'll look at going to the other pilot offices. There are 67 domestic tax revenue division offices, and the project would deliver over the next 2.5 to 3 years. Okay, so it's not all at once, but most of the deployment is here in Accra to start with, and then we have different phases that will come along the line. We've got the internal side where people come in and we are processing. The web-based side we haven't deployed yet, but we are far advanced in it. We finished testing. So soon it will be possible for people to actually go online, as I said earlier, to do their registration of TIN. But that will be for just individuals who also have the IDs that can be checked electronically. Passports are not within that domain. So you should have a Ghana driver's license, a voter's ID, or and then a national identification card. Okay, so you could do that. And then in terms of those who want to file electronically, yes, they will register with us on the portal, and then they can go in and do their transactions. Currently, that is not where we are, but once we deploy the web-based portal, then people can then use that, which will make it easier for them to do business.
The question is, how safe is your tax identification or business registration details sitting on an e-government portal?
Data that goes over the web are encrypted. So if you get that even, it's not going to mean anything to you. Secondly, you only get access to your data. When you register for the portal, you just get information concerning yourself. It's only officers who have a view. But if you register online, you can only see data that concerns yourself. You can't see data about another company. Okay, so that's how the linkages are. But definitely the data is encrypted. So you won't be able to get in there and see. We also have standards for the private partner. All those are detailed in part of the document as to what they need to do to protect the information that's at the data center. We ourselves, at the end of the day, are going to be intimately involved in those transactions, because at the end of the project, the private partner has to hand over everything to GRA and to the Registrar-General also, or in simple terms, the government of Ghana.
The Registrar-General's department is a beneficiary of the G-Gov application system, which we're told is a public-private partnership with GNet in order to transform all the registration processes that take place here into an electronic format. Now, I'm here today to have a chat with officials here at the Registrar-General's department to get a feel of how the G-Gov application and the electronic systems now aid the processing of registration of companies and the other things which are done here. So we'll go in right now and then they will have a chat with us. We'll get to know more. This is Joy News Exclusive. So I'm here, as somebody who doesn't have a tax identification number, and now Madam Ruby Abe will walk us through what I would do if I come. So I'm here now and I want to register a company. I don't have a tax identification number. What's the first thing I should expect?
The first thing that you are expected is that you visit the GRA desk, pick a tin form with your ID, and then you fill it and submit to the GRA.
Take us to the GRA.
Okay. This is the GRA desk. where you have to pick. The first thing is show them your ID, and then you pick a tin form.
This is on assumption that I haven't taken the form online, right? Because I'm told that you can get the form online.
Exactly. If you haven't done that, you could just pick it from here with your ID.
So from here, what do I do?
From here, you fill and submit back to them, and then they work on it and tell you when to come for your tin form. From where you can now buy our form from Fidelity Banking House.
So it's only after that, when you have finished all this tin thing that
Yes, because if you can buy our form, but then there will be no processing, because without the tin you cannot submit your form. Yeah.
So what do I do if I walked in and I already had a tin?
If you already have a tin, you go straight to the bank and buy the Registrar-General application form.
Take us there, right?
All right.
So this
is the in-bank house, yes, Fidelity Bank, from where you can buy all our forms. Both application forms and amendment forms are all sold by the bank. So you buy the application form and then you fill because you already have the tin. And after that, you go to our data clerks, and then there will be verification done for you to check if the name is appropriate. And then if the name is appropriate, you fill your form completely and submit at the very desk. Because we have a one-stop shop where you can verify your name and then you can submit your application forms as well.
And there are no middlemen, there are no Kululu people who will say Goro boys who try and fast track. There are no middlemen,
because once you do the verification, just in that case you have the data clerks as well. So they just take it from you and key in and ask you to wait because it's electronic and other persons will have to approve your name. After the application has been approved, they ask you to come back to the bank because they will give you a slip and then you pay. After payment, you just cross over. This is our account session where you have to submit your application form. And then they will also key in and then they'll ask you to go back to the data clerk and submit. And that's it. You'll be told when to come for your certificate.
Easy, no stress with that.
No stress.
Okay, is there anything you want to tell people who are less knowledgeable about the processes and they come in and maybe they do things wrongly? What exactly we want to tell people who come in to conduct business one form or the other here?
One thing we tell people is that tin is not only generated in the Registrar-General. All GRA offices all over the country generate tin numbers. And so they don't need to necessarily walk in here to get their tin. They can do it wherever there's a GRA office. And then from there, they walk in and pick our application forms, and they can just go about it. We have a lot of signage around and pop-ups, but they don't read. This is one thing that is very challenging, and that is why maybe it becomes stressful to them. But with this process, they can sail through. And we have help desk. If they cannot fill their forms, we are there to assist them.
Right, so I'm here at the Business and Tax Registration Unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority Help Desk, which is inside the Registrar-General's department, and I want to have a chat with some of the staff who work in ensuring that your TINs, the tax identification numbers, are rightly issued to those who want to begin the process of registering their companies. We'll find out. Okay, madam, we're here. We want to get a fair understanding of, on a daily basis when you come to work, what you do really, because we're trying to get a comparison between how the system worked previously and how it works now with this G-Gov project. So tell us what you do on a daily basis.
What we are doing here practically is the generation of TIN, T-I-N, tax identification numbers for clients. according to the new business processes, every person who's registering a business, whether a sole proprietor or a director of a company, is supposed to have a TIN first. So what we do here is to give out TIN forms at the first stage. The clients are supposed to fill the TIN forms, add the IDs that we have prescribed, and then we would generate the TIN for them. So when they pick up their certificates, then they can go on to register their businesses. The whole idea is to create a one-stop shop. So that is why we have set up here, to make it easy for clients to receive their TINs and then at the same time register their businesses in the same premises.
Okay, so when you say generate TINs, I mean, what's the process of generating? What goes into generating the TINs itself?
When the client submits the TIN forms, completed application forms, the data entry person would key into our system. And then it goes through various processes. It is approved, and then the TIN is generated on our system. So when the client comes in here, he would fill, there's a slip, what we call the collection slip, that he would fill, and then we print the certificates for them.
Okay, so
data entry and approval.
Is it possible you can take us through some of the forms, maybe do a demonstration of what they do, so that we'll get to see physically what is done? So,
all right,
yeah.
We also have corporate organization forms that we give out for shareholders, foreign shareholders. So this is a typical one. So you pick up. It's basically personal details, residential address, postal address, phone numbers, but the forms are vetted to make sure that they're properly completed before scanning. So we have the vetting office opposite there.
So if during or after vetting it's detected there's something missing, you call the person.
We would call the person to come back and give us the correct details. Yeah.
And so, give and take, how long does this process take?
Just
the process of putting in the thing and then vetted and then completed.
Oh, you mean for our working processes?
Yes, your working process.
Oh, for keying it, 10 minutes max.
So if I came, for example, and I wanted a TIN, I submit this form, I give it to you, I attach my IDs, and then you vet the forms to be sure every detail you require is here, and then you generate the TIN.
We would generate the TIN.
So
that's the basic.
In all, from
because of the volumes, we batch them, as the people come in a lot, so we batch them, but as we are batching, it's being worked on. So it's possible that you might bring a form in the morning, it would get ready in the evening. But as soon as your application is approved, the system sends you a text message that is being approved. So then you have to come in and pick up your certificate.
So it means that in a day, if you come here, you can sort out your TIN registration and everything without hassle, without any bureaucratic stop gaps or interruptions, which, people will go like, hey, come, Goro boys, I want to help you do the process. Do these things exist here?
Well, not really. Not any that I have seen, because it's an open office. Everybody comes in. They pick up their forms, they fill it, and they are good to go.
All right, so thank you. Hello. We're here to vet you all so that you give us TIN numbers. All right, my name is Stephen Enti. I'm from Multi TV. So we'd like to have a word with you. So you walk us through the procedures that you use in your vetting processes. So that is all. Maybe you have to delegate one who will speak first. Okay, so who will speak first? So very quickly, when you receive a form which an individual has filled, I'm told that the process is that you have to vet it. Tell me exactly how you go about doing that.
Actually, when we receive the form, we go through it to see whether it has been well completed. So we scan.
When you say well completed, what do you look out for?
We look out for the information that has been put down on the form. And we make sure the date of birth, people even forget to put the correct date of birth. Some will put 2013 instead of their actual date of birth. And you have this problem with the mother's maiden name, which most people don't understand. It's a little difficult, but we try to explain it to them so that they will give us their mother's maiden name instead of the Mrs. that we have. Actually, that's
What's
about
that?
all.
I mean, if I come and register, providing my mother's maiden name, how does that help in the processing, or how is that important?
Okay, in Ghana, we have many Kofi Menses in our midst. We will have about 1,001 Kofi Menses. But the mother's maiden name differentiates one Kofi Mensa from the other, because it's not likely you have the same mothers for all the Kofi Menses. So the date of birth and the mother's maiden name, whether dead or alive, people come here, they tell you their mother is dead. We are interested in the mother's maiden name, whether dead or alive, so that it will help us distinguish between one Kofi Mensa from the other Kofi Mensa.
Okay, so when you are finished, when you are done with that, what next?
We go through, the vetting officer appends his or her signature on it, and then we go through the process of keying in, and then approval is done by the approving officer to make sure the data gathered is correct, so that there will not be any anomaly in the capture of the information.
Thank you very much. We'll swing over to Mami, and Mami will tell us, tell us the challenges you go through in doing your work. Are there any?
Yes. Most times the forms are not well completed. Yeah, that's a major challenge we face.
But that's your job. If it's not well completed, you help them complete it, or?
We do.
Okay.
But I'm a data entry officer. Okay. I capture the data from the registration form onto trips. That's what I do.
And beyond that, I mean, I know customers can be difficult. Do you face difficult customers?
Well, should I say I'm on the backstage? Okay. The vetting officers come face, rather have the face-to-face contact with the customers. So after the form has been vetted, it's handed over to me, and then I key in.
So simple,
so I
you
don't
just
really
do data entry.
I do data entry, and sometimes scanning, because when you are keying in, you would have to attach both the registration form and the photocopy of the ID.
Okay, so
yes.
What you scan is the original form the person has filled with their original handwriting.
Exactly.
Although you are going to go into the system to key it electronically, you still have to attach the one they have written with their hand.
Exactly.
Okay. Why is this necessary?
Yeah, you see, with a tin, even the embassies have started taking it. If you go anywhere and they take your TIN the TIN, as in the tax identification number, they input it, and then for them to know that it is you, it is your TIN, we attach this and the photocopy of ID. So if you go with somebody's TIN, you'll be found out.
You'll be caught.
You'll be caught. Because if they input the TIN, the attachment is there, and when the attachment is open, your photocopy of ID is there as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Mami. And so Naomi will also walk us through what she does. You virtually do the same thing, I think.
The important thing worth noting is that either we were keeping the hard copies. So if one form should get missing, I won't be able to retrieve the information. But these days we keep everything in the computer. So even if the form get missing, or the person leaves this office and go and do the thing somewhere else, once we enter the system will not allow us to re-register the person again.
So it means that this is more tidy.
Yes, please.
Clean and
yes,
less cumbersome.
Yes, please.
So you, apart from vetting, you don't do anything else to the form?
I vet. The first stage is to vet. What I do, I vet. Sometimes I scan. If the need be authorized, that means approval. So depending on the situation, I do everything from vetting, keying, scanning, and approval, depending on the situation.
So are there challenges you face with particular classes of customers?
Yes. In Ghana, what I've realized is that many people don't read to follow instructions. The visa form, because they know if they do the wrong thing, it will affect them. They take their time to read. But even though we have attached completion notes, most people don't read it. Both learned and unlearned, they all don't read. They come and they've left us so many places that you have to ask them, and some of them get angry with you when you're asking them. It might surprise you to know that many people, intellectuals, don't even know the difference between maiden name and the otherwise. They will tell you, but this is my mother's maiden name. When you go into it to find out, you realize that no, that is the name the mother is using now, not the name she was given when she was giving birth to. So those are some of the challenges that we face. They don't comply, even though the completion note is there, they don't read. They just take the form and they complete it anyhow. Yes. What I want to say is that everybody, it's free, it's online. So anybody, once you are adult, you can come and register, whether you are Ghanaian or not. It's free. Most people don't, they when they come here in a hurry, do it for me, then they give out money to some unauthorized people. So what I want to tell the general public is that TIN registration is free, and it's even online. You don't need to come to the office before you pick up the form. You can download www.gra.gh.
You've heard it all. I mean, here they vet the forms that you fill in when you want to acquire a tax identification number, which has become critical, actually mandatory in the registration of businesses and companies in Ghana as part of the new electronic G-Gov systems of fast-tracking business registrations. So that's it. This is Joy News exclusive.
Well, I went up to the Deputy Registrar-General of the Registrar-General's department to find out how all we've been told by the officers here fits into the department's overall modernization and migration of services onto an electronic platform.
Registrar-General's department started its automation processes as far back as 2006.
Okay.
And what we were not able to achieve was online registration. So the e-government project came as a relief to us in the sense that, first of all, we're going to be able to achieve that initial objective that the department had to automate our process, because we were going to be linked up electronically with Ghana Revenue Authority on a common platform. And one of the deliveries from the e-government project was, apart from automating our processes to enable us register all our businesses, all the 6 categories of our businesses, as well as automate marriage registration and then administration of estates. We're also going to be able to register businesses online through a citizens portal, where, you know, once you get into the system, you can link us up through that portal and we can register you without you necessarily visiting our offices.
So how far with the process of that?
Well,
I mean, how far are you into this expectation?
Yeah, we were sort of able to start the process up to a point. When we started it, we didn't have legislation to back online registration. That was the challenge. And so the software that was delivered to us, and which we're currently using, has changed the way of doing business, but only to the extent that we now have changed all our forms. I'm sure you know, you now need a tax identification number. Every officer of a company needs a tax identification number. The forms have also changed in the sense that we now have to scan it into the system so they are scannable forms. We've been able to put it on our website. Those who are not able to buy it from us can actually download it, complete it, and submit it. And so in that sense, we're able to track our records far better than before. But that is as far as it goes. I can say that the processes are a bit more cumbersome now, at least from the onset, because every officer needs a tax identification number. So as long as you do not have a tax identification number, we cannot register your business.
But it wasn't meant to be cumbersome. It was meant to make it easier. So
I believe the cumbersomeness is just for a period. Everything that starts, it has a bit of challenge. But once you have a tax identification number, you don't need to apply for it again. So it's a one-time, maybe cumbersomeness, one time.
So if, for example, somebody registered for a tax identification number, they formed a company, later company folds up, they come back to re-register a new company, they still use their old
TIN number,
the same old TIN number. And what's the advantage of this?
Well, basically, it enables us to track the people behind the companies. For instance, you would know that a particular director has maybe 3 or 4 or 5 companies. For record purposes, when you come up with a report to find out the number of companies a director has, you can easily track that director or secretary or auditor or whichever officer of the company that has that TIN number. Mind you, GRA would also have that same information on that director. So tax purposes, I believe they'll be able to track them better than before. Because in the past, you get companies filing different accounts with GRA and different accounts with us. So in terms of transparency, uniformity, I think is a very good system that is in place. You get to know who really is behind the company.
And are your team members, staff of the Registrar-General's department, enthusiastic about it and working with it well without complaints?
Initially, there were a lot of complaints. Initially, like everything that is new, in fact, they fought against it initially until we made them realize that there is no turning back on. So everybody had to get on board. And with the GREC system that is currently in place, they are very happy with it. If only you're able to get all your tax numbers and the documents are properly processed electronically within the time it's supposed to be processed, you can get your business registered at most within 2 days. If only you have your tax numbers. That's why I'm insisting on that.
That's very fast.
It's very important that you get your tax numbers. Once you have all the officers getting their tax numbers and you complete our documents, you pay whatever you need to pay and it's scanned into the system. And our officers sit behind their machines and actually move the applications. Within 2 days, you should have your documents registered because it's an electronic process. If for any reason I've left the office and I'm out of the office, those documents are sitting in my work tray. They've not moved anywhere. But if I sit behind my tray and I move the applications, within a day or 2,
it should be done.
Should be done.
So previously, how did it work? I mean, previously
it was all manual. The searches were manual. Now the searches are not manual anymore. Previously, they used to bring the physical files to us for us to actually, examine them and then approve them. But now, electronically, we're able to do that. From the very onset, when the client is able to go through the process of doing a search on the name electronically down there, we have verifiers who will verify the documents and they can confirm that the name is available to you. The data entry clerks key it into the system. And this goes to the company inspectors who approve it at the first level before it gets to the lawyers. We are the final point of call for the approval. So once we check the names and look at the objects and all we need to do to check and it's okay and we approve it, electronically at the touch of a button, we approve it and the certificate is printed in a print room downstairs. Then that's it. The process is completed. So the rest is printing of the profile and your regulations and that's it.
So what feedback are you getting from those who come here to register businesses? Are they telling you or giving you feedback that they're happy and content with these new procedures?
That's what I'm saying. It's not too easy now. One, this is a pilot project. It started from the head office. We have 3 regional offices who were not linked to the system right from the beginning. So the whole country is registering from here. And that is a big load on my offices. We just have about 10 or 15 lawyers at most who are approving these applications, and it's a bit of a strain. It's a bit of a strain. So I don't think the clients are too excited. First of all, getting the tin is a bit of a problem sometimes. But after they get the tin and then they get into our side of the business registration, and we also delay for one reason or the other because an officer has not approved a sitting in somebody's tree, it's not been moved. Don't be too excited. But if only we're able to do what we need to do within the time we're supposed to do it, they'll be happy because the work that comes out is very neat. You have a newer certificate with better security features. I mean, that's once you go through that process, it's very nice. You have your tax number, you have your company registration number all on one document. And with that, you've gone half of the way. So what it means is you don't need to go and register with VAT. It's a one-stop sort of thing. Once you get that, already you are linked to the GRA. So tax-wise, they are aware of you. So when it gets to you filing your returns, it's not going to be that difficult anymore. And now, mind you, the system allows for electronic filing of annual returns as well as the accounts with the GRA. Yeah, so beyond making sure that all our customers or clients have their documents properly prepared before they get here, I just need to also let you know that currently there's a re-registration exercise going on. Most companies that were registered under the old system, that's in our old database, are being encouraged to be moved into the new database, which is a far better system than what we have. And that requires re-registration. Yes, and that doesn't mean that we are not saying you are registered. You are registered. You're just updating our records and ensuring that all the other officers, or in fact the current directors, shareholders, secretary, auditors, have all got this new tax identification number. Because you cannot be reflected in this system unless you have a tax identification number. That's an individual. Yeah, and is there a timeline? Like, is there a deadline for which companies would have to go through this process of re-registration? Yes, for us, within the next 2 years at least, this should be completed. But I know GRA would require it even earlier for tax purposes. So I'd encourage all businesses that were registered in the old system to make sure that they are re-registered by getting all their officers, and I mean the current directors or shareholders or whatever, to get the tax identification number. They also have to ensure that they file their annual returns up to date. And it's a necessary legal requirement to file your returns 18 months after incorporation, and after that, yearly. So if you want to be re-registered, first you make sure that all your officers have tax identification numbers. The annual returns have been filed. All we need is evidence of that. And you don't need to pay any other fee apart from you making sure you've renewed your businesses or filed your annual returns. That is all. That's all. And then we move you into the new system. On that new platform, anybody wants to do a search on your company to find out if you are a company that is doing serious business in Ghana, you'll be able to track in that new system. But if you stay in the old system, nobody will know about you. So it's very, very critical that all businesses, and they can send their company secretaries to come and we can help.
Right, I've come inside here to the renewal section of the Registrar-General's department. Now, before the implementation of the G-Gov electronic system, I'm told that even company renewals were done manually, that your company information and details would have to be keyed into a book. And subsequently, when it's time for renewal, which is an obligation to do every year by law, it has to be done manually. But now the manual system is no more. In place of the manual system is an electronic system, which those who work here say is very efficient and makes their work easy. So I'm here to speak to one of the secretaries here at the renewal section, and she will have a chat with me about the workings here at this unit. So, Madam, it's great to have you.
Thank you very much.
So, ideally, when a person registers for a company, you told us that in the old system, they had to input in a book. What has changed now with the new system?
Oh, a lot of change has come because now we computerize renewals. Every company is supposed to be renewed once every year, and we computerize it. So maybe if you can't even find your receipt and you come through the computer system, we can get you the information Everything is now computerized and electronized.
And it makes work very easy for you.
Easy, yeah. The work is now very easy.
Okay. So when a person comes to renew, I mean, you are here, you take their information. What do you do from there?
When they come to renew, you first of all check on their certificates how much they owe. It's a yearly thing. So if maybe you registered the company in 2008 and you check and he has not renewed it, then you know that he's supposed to renew it from 2009 up to date. And with that, when he renewed it, he'll buy the renewal form, fill it and pay. After a payment, he will just submit it and we'll come put the information in the system, the updates in the system.
How are you able to tell companies that have not renewed from those who have renewed?
Actually, we see from their certificates that they bring to us. When you renewed, when you pay at the bank, they give you two receipts, one duplicate, one original, which you have to submit the duplicate to Registrar-Generals. So when you come the following year to pay for that year's renewals, you have to come along with that receipt. That tells us you have renewed. Or if you don't have the receipt with you, we check from the system and we can know you have renewed or not.
What about those who register a business and let's say 3 years, 4 years, they have not been able to start because there are challenges with raising capital, there are challenges in business transactions. So for 3 years or 4 years, they haven't conducted any business at all. These people still have to renew every year?
Of course, they have to still renew every year. We don't care whether you worked or not, because if we will go by that, everybody can come and say, I registered 3 years ago, I have not worked, so I won't pay my renewal. No, we don't go by that. Immediately you register a company, you must start paying the renewal from exactly the following year after the registration.
From the renewal section, we're just right in the same cubicle. So we'll speak to the lady who is in charge of receiving your trademark and patent identification registration. So, Madam, it's great to have you. So tell us what you do here at this section.
Okay, at this section, I receive trademark applications.
And when you receive, what do you do with them?
When people come in, they want to protect their intellectual property. You tell them first, they conduct search on it. After the search, then if the name is okay or nobody is using that brand name, they go ahead and register. The search, you first have to write a letter. Then you put in your application. That one, it takes 2 weeks. You pay $60 for the search. After the search, if the name is okay, we give you a feedback in 2 weeks' time. If the name is okay, then you apply. That is $150. That is the application fee.
You're charging dollars, but this is Ghana. Why is the fee quoted in dollars?
The equivalent.
So whether you are Ghanaian or you're a foreigner, you pay $60 and $150.
Intellectual property, they pay in dollars, but you can pay in CD equivalent. But we charge in dollars for trademarks.
Okay, so tell me, before the system was made electronic, when you receive the application, what processes do you go through and how is it different now? I'm trying to see the difference between the old system and the new system.
The old system, I may say it makes the search difficult because you have to go through the manual system, check the names before you can give the search report. But with the computer, you just go through the normal search. You click, then you type the name, then if it is registered, you know.